The banks are already in crypto. The banks are already in crypto. MasterCard is comprised of a consortium of banks. One of those banks being Citibank. Visa stems from Bank of America. Both of these are backing Onyxcoin. The banks are already in crypto.
And we know the banks are the biggest what? I'll let you finish that. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. Because he knows. Because he knows. Because he knows.
It's time to shake the focus up. Sick of being sick and tired. Tell me if you had enough. Yeah, it's Shook's in the building now. We ain't missing nothing. We gon' catch you if they got a rub.
Welcome. And thanks for tuning in as we get ready to do a little swimming in these Onyxcoin waters. To be honest with you, I can't even believe I'm looking at this one. It's the one I never expected. I saw this project sometime late 2023 or early 2024 and I didn't know what it was. I questioned how low the price was, and until the member of the Black Root Crew asked me to look at it, I actually had decided to disregard it. My initial response was something to the tune of, hey, it's got a Visa logo for backers, it's at least not an intentional scam. It's sad, but that's how you have to look at stuff in this space, because it's always projects looking to make a quick buck and willing to take yours in the process. But not here. Not XCN. This project gives off high levels of underration.
What does the scouter say about his power level? It's over 9,000! What?
We're going to start with that same Visa logo. When you look at this, what do you see? Do you see a logo that just exists on a bunch of cards for no reason? Or do you see that in Q4 of 2023, there was an estimated 944 million Visa debit cards in the US, and earlier that year, approximately 2.9 billion worldwide? This is according to Statista anyway. Now sure, some people are packing more than one card, so this number can't possibly represent a one-to-one against the number of people that actually have them, but I think you get the picture. Investopedia tells us that in 2023, Visa reported fiscal year revenues of 32 billion. Data processing generates the largest portion of that. This includes clearing, settlement, authorization, value added, network access, and similar services. Really just a fancy way to say they make sure everybody gets paid because they run one of the payment networks required for access. So they take a piece of every transaction. Platform as a service, if you will. Those of you more keen to detail might be noticing that the 4.3 billion cards worldwide in 2024 is much larger than the 2.9 billion we saw on Statista for 2023. Now that could be just because these are varying sources, or it could be that the crypto.com and or Coinbase cards had something to do with boosting that. They are, after all, Visa prepaid debit cards. If there's no money loaded, they don't work. It's not credit. So next, let's dig into why Visa being here is so important. What is it actually? Well, as of 2023, the top shareholders of Visa were Vanguard, BlackRock, and T. Rowe Price Associates Incorporated, the third of which I'm unfamiliar with. But okay. Where did Visa come from? According to Wikipedia, Visa was founded in 1958 by Bank of America. Back then, it was just Bank AmeriCard. This was said to be in response to MasterCard. Bank of America then started licensing it out to other institutions in 1966 and eventually gave up direct control, and it was renamed Visa in 1976. That's a lot of changes within a 20-year period. Something to note is that on the Bank of America website now, you can clearly see that MasterCard's network is used on some of these cards, so that competition really seems null and void these days. But Visa stems from Bank of America, and it's the second largest card payment organization next to China Union Pay, at least from 2015's numbers. However, Visa commands a 50% market share in the rest of the world. For me, going forward, when I see Visa, my mind is going to go to Vanguard, BlackRock, and then Bank of America, and then Vanguard and BlackRock again, because they two of the top 3 shareholders of Bank of America, with third being Berkshire Hathaway. I could have sworn Buffett said that the only value Bitcoin and crypto had was hoping that the next person would want to pay more for it. So that's interesting. So we got a little bit to chew on, but now it's about to get really, really confusing. In the intro, ShookBot told us that Citibank was with MasterCard. We can see that in 1969, Citibank did join the MasterCard family. The next logical question we could ask has to be, who owns Citibank, right? Well, Citibank is owned by Citigroup, and Citigroup is owned by the shareholders. So who are the shareholders? Vanguard and BlackRock are in the top 2. But we can actually see that all 3 from the Visa list are in the top 10 here. Wait, is that also Berkshire Hathaway again?
But if you and I buy various cryptocurrencies, they're not going to multiply. They're not going to be a bunch of rabbits sitting there in front of us. They're just going to sit there. And I got to hope next time you get more excited after I bought it from you, and then maybe I'll get more excited and buy it from you. And actually, we could sit in the house by ourselves, and we could keep running up the price between the two of us. But at the end of the time, there's one Bitcoin sitting there, and now we got to find somebody else, and they come to an end.
All right, y'all. If you're still here, you wild. You gotta be to keep listening to a crazy person bounce between the first and third person like he should definitely be swallowing some foreign balls of chemicals to keep his sanity at bay. But I digress. You still here, so let's go. We can't possibly fit all of these into one swim. I'm not AI, so the tank is limited. But there's 2 more here that we simply cannot not address. For different reasons. They put a very unique light on XCN. First up is one that I definitely overlooked due to how low it's ranked on the overall investors list, and that would be Fiserv. What is Fiserv? Well, it's a pretty self-describing name, as it turns out. It's like a shortened version of financial service. To summarize, they provide financial services for a countless number of banks and institutions, and even individuals, as you'll find as we keep going here, by way of First Data. First Data Corporation is a financial services company headquartered in Atlanta, Georgia, in the U.S. The company's Star Network provides nationwide domestic debit acceptance for more than 2 million retail, point-of-sale, ATMs, and online outlets for nearly a third of all U.S. debit cards. First Data has 6 million merchants, the largest in the payments industry. The company handles 45% of all U.S. credit and debit transactions, including handling prepaid gift card processing for many of the U.S. brands, like the Starbucks gift cards. So that's right. Whether you swipe your debit, credit, or gift card, they get in a piece. It's said that it processes around 2,800 transactions per second and $2.2 trillion in card transactions annually. and gained 80% market share in gas and groceries in 2014. First Data's spend trend report is frequented by the Wall Street Journal, USA Today, ESPN, the New York Times, Vox Media, and Bloomberg. The one thing I can promise is that I'm definitely leaving something on the table here when it comes to Fiserv. But I was forced to move on because I don't know how we can avoid the elephant in the room. NASDAQ. I know us retail folks are always divided on stocks versus crypto and which one ain't gonna survive, but I see no division here. We have a stock exchange investing in crypto. Onyxcoin at that. Why would they do that? I think I got a hunch. But first, for those of you who are crypto for life and need a fresh reminder on stocks, as of August 2023, NASDAQ, or the National Association of Securities Dealers Automated Quotations, is the most active stock trading venue in the US by volume, and ranked second on the list of stock exchanges by market capitalization of shares traded, behind just the New York Stock Exchange. It trades stock from all the typical industries, although it's said to have more of a focus on technology stocks. And I have to say it lines up because for me, crypto equals technology, at least in my book. But what does NASDAQ have in common with some of these other pieces? Well, friends, we don't have to go very far to figure that out. We just have to look at who owns NASDAQ. Turns out it's public. So it's owned by the shareholders. So who are the shareholders? Would you look at that? Vanguard and BlackRock making the list again, with a combined almost 12% total shares of NASDAQ. NASDAQ, however, is a tad bit different when it comes to crypto investments. Compared to the other players here, NASDAQ has a much shorter list. But somehow Onyxcoin still made that list. We may not know why, but if you're asking me, I would say it's worth sticking around to find out. Well, folks, what I do know is that Onyxcoin has definitely surprised me, and although there's no telling if it will survive, it has support from far more traditional finance companies than the typical crap coin. But before we get out of here, there are a couple common questions with Onyxcoin that we should at least ask here as well. The first one being, they managed $40 million in fundraising, which is a lot of money. But in comparison to some of the other projects with similar backing and backers, that $40 million seems a tad small. Could it be that the project just didn't require much for monetary resources? Or could it show a lack of faith due to some unforeseen or undisclosed issues? I don't know. You decide for you. But the second common question is a tad bit juicier. Onyxcoin is often confused with JPM coin, JP Morgan coin. And that's because JPM does have a product called Onyx. However, outside of the eerily similar use of the name Onyx, I have not been able to prove that these are the same thing. However, given the information that we've gathered here today, when I look at Onyxcoin, I now see Vanguard and BlackRock. And that's interesting because Vanguard is the largest shareholder of, you guessed it, JP Morgan Chase. And as such, would have a lot of weight in the decision-making process for JP Morgan. Now, if it turns out that Onyxcoin is an actual product of JP Morgan, that's likely not something that we'll be able to easily verify in plain language until after the fireworks. But if you were to ask me if I thought these names were chosen by coincidence, you know what my answer is.
No. 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 Hell no.
And until next time, don't get shook. Stay focused. And I'm out.